All right, guys. I'm going to use a screencast as an opportunity to both present my final project as well as show the technology that I used. Now, I chose Unit G in the geometry curriculum, which has to do with polygons. And what I did is I designed the first two units, or the first two lessons in this unit, around some of the SAMR model and UDL things we had talked about in class to the guidelines of this final project. During this portion of the presentation, I'm really going to stick more to the second half of the the second lesson in the unit, just because the first lesson I think I described a little bit better in the lesson plan, so please feel free to reference the lesson plan, which is also in my presentation as well, or in the at least the written form. So the main portion of my technology that was used was a self-guided kind of video that the kids could use to really customize their learning. So it starts out with just our objective. We have our drill, and each one of these cards, they're going to be answering these questions inside of the class flow. So I'll be able to see the responses in real time. Excuse me. I'll also be able to send them messages in real time based upon how they're doing. Next, they'll be working on a small activity to review yesterday's vocabulary, because it's really critical for our vocabulary to answer these questions, especially the higher order questions. So really where the technology comes into play is in this slide here. Now, so this is where it becomes that really self-guided portion of the lesson. So the kids, they all have the devices. I have the device. I'm going to get the device cart. They're going to use their headphones. They are going to go to the share drive at school, and they're going to watch my videos, which correlate to this sheet. So these questions will be on BCPS1. And also, I'll give them a hard copy because it's kind of nice for them to write something down on. As we know in UDL, we want to give multiple forms of ways for them to construct their work. So you'll notice in this column, there's guided practice. And in this column is on your own. So what I did is I created 5 videos. Video 1 goes with question 1. Video 2 goes with question 3. Video 3, question 5. Video 4, 7, and 9. And what I actually do is I break down the steps how to do the problem. I give them points where I say, all right, now you need to pause, try it. They can hit play, see if they did it correctly. Really, it just shows them how to answer some of the important tactics for each one of these. And it also gives them an opportunity to verify their work before they start talking to some of their group mates. Now, these questions on your own, I did not give them answers to. I did maybe give a few hints in the video. Like in video 1, I give some hints to the question 2. In 3, I give some hints to 4. Etc. You guys get the idea. So it gave the kids some autonomy. Some of the kids wanted to try the problems first over here, then watch the videos to see if they did it correctly, while others like to watch the video, pause, write down some of the work, pause, write down some of the work, etc., and even have the ability to rewind. So I'll open up one of the videos just so you guys can see that they correspond. I posted this on my BCPS1 too, because I do have them on YouTube as well, but it's much easier for them to access it on the share drive. So let's look at practice video number 3. So this should be popping up shortly on my Chrome browser. Here we go. So this is my channel. Sorry, let me pause that for you guys. So you guys can see here, here's just the edge of the YouTube thing. I should be able to move it. Let's see if we can move it. Yeah. All right, so you guys can see here, this is what the YouTube video looks like. Let me mute it for you guys so you don't have to hear my voice twice. That'd be really annoying. So what it does is it goes through the problem that correlates with question, which one we say it was, question 3. So name the regular polygon where each exterior angle is 30 degrees. Bada bing, bada boom. Here's our question. Look, what do you know? I'm using a screencast here. So I always start by talking about how do we annotate it, some of the important words, because annotating is a big push in our school right now. And I worked through how to do the problem, telling them to pause at certain points, giving them justifications. You can see me working through the problem right now. I try to change the color to bold certain things. And like I said, that next question, you'll see it should pop up shortly. I'll wait for this to pop up. And you'll see it switches over to the other next problem right here. So I give them some hints to the on your own question. I say pause it, do this, pause it, do that, etc. So the kids really liked being able to access these videos. It kind of gave them some reinforcements as to what they wanted to do, and just to make sure they were on the right track. And I have videos for all, like I said, all 5 of, let me move this down, all 5 of our guided practice problems. And like I said, then the next thing that they would do is after they finish the guided practice, see if they could figure out the on your own using the principles from the video. What they did with these answers, they didn't just write them down on here. What they did is they took it into the class flow. In the class flow assignment, let's see if we can get that up, edit questions. So you can see in our slide, the guided independent practice, what we're doing right here, there are 11 questions, or sorry, yes, 11 questions, which correspond to the questions from the worksheet. All these correspond with to the questions in the worksheet. There's one additional one that I actually put in the thing as kind of a conceptual question. So if the groups finished early, they could talk amongst one another, which was really, really helpful. So this gave them an opportunity to practice a few different types of questions, and again, do it at their own speed. The kids, or my students, will be able to, like I say, pause, rewind, and develop better questions based upon that. Most frequently what I get asked in class, probably I'm sure you guys can agree, the most frequent question asked is, am I right or am I wrong? With this, they get the immediate feedback saying they're right or they're wrong. They know, so they can say, oh, if I got it wrong, I can talk to little Bobby about what did he do differently because he got it right. So that's the first main big portion of this lesson, or the big tech piece. The second big tech piece was the summative assessment portion, because this was just formative. I mean, it will go in the grade book so they can track their progress, but the next big piece was the summative assessment. So what I have for a summative assessment, move this down back to the YouTube thing. So we can just kind of talk through more of this. You know, like I said, they put their answers from their worksheet into the class flow. I built in a safety valve where we have a chart that they fill in, also goes in the class flow. I'm practicing a lot of the same tactics. Next, I like to have a conceptual kind of closure, before, you know, kind of like a debrief. After we all spent that time working in our groups, talking to one another, our debrief is some of these more conceptual questions. Readdress the objective. How did it relate to the previous lesson? What's the most difficult portion? Most common mistakes is one thing I really like to focus on, is what is everyone doing wrong and how can we fix it? Again, all these can be are going to be typed into the class flow, so the kids can share out loud, and I can also have documentation of to what they're working with later, what some of those questions were. Now then, the last thing, like I said, is our exit ticket. And the exit ticket is also on class flow. I gave them this worksheet, which I'll bring up. Let me see if I can here. So here's the exit ticket. It has all the questions right here. I have it on BCPS 1, as well as gave them a hard copy of it. Again, I like to give multiple representations because they don't have the devices at home. If they had their own device, I just give it to them. They could type in some of their work. But I kind of like the hard copy as well. So what they did is they answered these 6 questions on the class flow. You'll see right here. And this would actually dictate what homework they did. There were 6 corresponding homework questions, all from the textbook, so it's really hard for me to screencast those in, but each one of those questions correlated to a problem on the exit ticket. If they got number 1 on the exit ticket wrong, you would have to do problem that was listed as number 1 in the homework. If you got number 2 wrong, you would have to do number 2, number 3, etc. If they got none wrong, they had to choose 2 to do. So they really seem to buy into that customization, where I say, well, if I know how to do it already, why am I doing the same homework and worksheet as everybody else? You know, it makes it a little bit tough on everybody when everyone's all doing the same work. So this gave them some choice as to what they wanted to do, or not really choice, but it gave them a little bit more like, this homework is for me, as opposed to it being made for the whole class. Now I know this is very basic level of the customization, personalization, but it's really manageable way for all teachers to kind of implement this strategy inside of their classroom. It was not that difficult for me to design this lesson. Very similar setup. It's just using the technology and modifying it. And I even consider some of this redesign because with the YouTube videos, I was able to work with certain groups of kids who I might not have been able to work with. With the YouTube videos, I could, monitor and say, okay, watch this video one more time. See if you can notice something around like minute number 2. That might help you out. And with the digital assessment, in terms of that being mixed in, it allowed me to see, hey, do I need to spend more time on the safety valve and address maybe question 2 and 3 as opposed to just addressing 1 through 7. And as I watched the scores come in from the class flow, it helped me make those instructional decisions that I couldn't have done in the past. Well, I hope this is really helpful for you guys. It's just showing you the technology I was using. I know it's very brief. I tried to be brief, but all I was really doing is linking that class flow into YouTube to make this really something that a kid could do at home. But the benefit of having the teacher there really seemed to boost their understanding of the material. Well, I hope that was helpful for you guys. I'll try and write up a little bit more of a debrief with a reflection and introduction of my project, but I hope you guys liked it. Thank you.